Warren Buffett is undeniably one of the greatest investors of all time, as over the 78 years he has invested for, Buffett has consistently made impressive returns over the long term. While many believe Warren Buffett was buying the dip, the recent annual shareholder meeting has revealed that he has actually been selling stocks instead of buying. For example, Warren Buffett has sold all of his airline stocks, including $6.5 billion in Delta Airlines, United Airlines, Southwest Airlines, and American Airlines. In the previous quarter, Berkshire Hathaway had a total of $127 billion of cash. After the first quarter of 2020, Berkshire's cash pile had grown to a total of $137 billion. In fact, during the time between the fourth quarter of 2019 and the first quarter of 2020, Buffett only bought $1.7 billion worth of stocks, despite having over $100 billion of cash. In this video, we're going to take a deep dive into why Warren Buffett is hoarding cash and whether you should too. Warren Buffett is famous for the quote, "Be fearful when others are greedy." As of right now, there's a lot of greed in the market, with many proclaiming that the virus is a short-term problem and that the US economy will bounce back fast. However, truth to be told, there's a lot of unpredictability in the market right now. Nobody knows where the market is headed to in the short term. Warren Buffett doesn't either. As a result, one of the reasons why he is hoarding cash is to be prepared for the worst.
I don't know, and perhaps with a bias, I don't believe anybody knows what the market is going to do tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. I know America is going to move forward over time, but I don't know for sure. And we learned this on September 10th, 2001, and we learned it a few months ago in terms of the virus. Anything can happen in terms of markets. And if you can bet on America, but you have to be careful about how you bet, because simply because markets can do anything. On October, whatever it was, in 1987, October 11th, I believe, Monday, markets went down 22% in one day. In 1914, they closed the stock market for about 4 months. After 9/11, closed the market for 4 days. We hustled to get it going again. But nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow. So when you bet, I tell you to bet on America, and I tell you that that's what's really gotten me through ever since I bought my first stock when I was 11. I mean, I caught a huge tailwind in America, but it wasn't going to blow in my direction every single day, and you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
With the Fed continuing to print money in order to save the economy, Buffett is unsure of what the consequences of this will be. He's never seen so much action by the government before, and he wants to prepare for the worst. Not only that, but Buffett does not want to rely on the hope that the government is able to save the US economy.
Paul Volcker was a giant. In many ways, he was a big guy too. He and Jay Powell couldn't see more in temperament or anything, but Jay Powell, in my view, and the Fed board belong up there on that pedestal with him because they acted in the middle of March, probably somewhat instructed by what they'd seen in 2008 and 9. They reacted in a huge way and essentially allowed what's happened since that time to play out the way it has. March, where the market had essentially frozen, closed a little after mid-month, ended up because the Fed took these actions on March 23rd. It ended up being the largest month for corporate debt issuance, I believe, in history. And then April followed through and was even a larger month. And you saw all kinds of companies grabbing everything, coming to market, and spreads actually narrowed. And every one of those people that issued bonds in late March and April, I sent a thank you letter to the Fed, because it would not have happened if they hadn't operated with really unprecedented speed and determination. And we'll know the consequences of swelling the Fed's balance sheet. You can look at the Fed's balance sheet. They put it out every Thursday. It's kind of interesting reading if you're sort of a nut like me. But it's up there on the internet every Thursday, and you'll see some extraordinary changes there in the last 6 or 7 weeks. And like I say, we don't know the consequences of that, and nobody does exactly. And we don't know the consequences of what they undoubtedly will have to do. But we do know the consequences of doing nothing. And that's would have been the tendency of the Fed in many years past, not doing nothing, but doing something inadequate. But Mario Draghi, brought the whatever it takes to Europe, and the Fed in mid-March sort of did whatever it takes squared, and we owe them a huge thank you. But we're prepared at Berkshire. We always prepare on the basis that maybe the Fed will not have a chairman that acts like that, and we really want to be prepared for anything. So that explains some of the $124 billion in cash and bills. We don't need it all, but we do never want to be dependent on not only the kindness of strangers, but the kindness of friends.
Warren Buffett surely has plenty of cash. However, he's still continuing to sell his stocks, with the most notable ones being the airlines. The main reason for this is because of how unpredictable the virus will be. Buffett doesn't know how long the lockdown will last for, and he doesn't want to put the risk of losing all of his money if or when the airlines go under. To put into context of how low Buffett sold, he bought into Delta Airlines at an average cost basis of $46 and ended up selling all of his position at a cost basis of $22 per share. The risk versus reward isn't appealing yet in Buffett's eyes.
The first question, though, comes from one that just came in based on the comments that you were actually saying. This is a question that comes from William Lewis. He said, please, did I understand correctly, Mr. Buffett, to say that Berkshire Hathaway sold its interests in 4 different airlines? And if so, can you name them? Can the names of those airlines be identified?
Yeah, I wouldn't normally talk about it, but I think it requires an explanation, and it requires an explanation that means we were not disappointed at all in the businesses that they were being run and the management, but we did come to a different opinion on it. And they're the 4 largest U.S. airlines. It's American Airlines and Delta Airlines and Southwest Airlines and United Continental. And I think collectively they probably are at least 80% of the revenue passenger miles that is flown in the United States, and they have significant international flying too, excluding Southwest. So we like those airlines. But we don't not like. The world has changed for the airlines, and I don't know how it's changed, and I hope it corrects itself in a reasonably prompt way. I don't know whether the Americans have now changed their habits or will change their habits because of an extended period, if it happens that we're semi-shut down in the economy. I don't know whether the trends toward what people have been doing by phone. I mean, it's been 7 weeks since I've had a haircut. It's been 7 weeks more than 7 weeks since I put on a tie or anything. Just a question of which sweatsuit I wear. So who knows who knows how we come out of this, but I think that there's certain industries, and unfortunately I think that the airline industry, among others, that are really hurt by a forced, in fact, shut down by events that are far beyond their control. Greg, would you like to add anything to that?
Really nothing to add, Warren.
Okay. Well, we got another Charlie here.
I didn't intend to use that as a line, but you've covered it well.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we would have bought other airlines too, incidentally, but those were the four big ones, and those are ones we could put some money into, and we put whatever it was, $7 or $8 billion into it, and we did not take out anything like $7 or $8 billion, and that was my mistake. But it's always a problem if there are things on the lower levels of probabilities that happen sometimes, and it happened to the airlines, and I'm the one who made the decision.
But Warren, just to clarify on his question, he asked, did you sell your whole stake in all four of those
the
companies?
answer is yes. Yeah, when we sell something, we sell something, very often it's going to be our entire stake. I mean, we don't trim positions or that's just not the way we approach it, any more than if we buy 100% of a business, we're going to sell it down to 90% or 80%. I mean, if we like a business, we're going to buy as much of it as we can and keep it as long as we can. But when we change our mind,
All right, the next
go
question.
ahead, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. When you change your mind?
Well, when we change our mind, we don't take half measures or anything of the sort. So I was amazed at how, frankly, now we were selling them at far lower prices than we paid, but I was amazed at the volume. The airlines always trade in large volume relatively, but we have sold the entire positions.
Overall, with the market rebounding seemingly fast, I agree with Buffett and am holding a portion of cash in order to buy the dip if it comes. Let me know what you think about Warren Buffett hoarding cash in the comment section below. Also, if you enjoyed, please hit the like button and subscribe so that I know you guys want to see more videos like this. I appreciate your support.